In this video, I want to talk just very briefly about the reflection papers. These are obviously very important. They're important because, as you see in the syllabus, it counts for 50% of your grade. It's as much as the exams. So even if you're a bad exam taker, which really doesn't apply in this case because of the fact that the exams are open notes and open book, you still wouldn't, you'd still be able to write some reflection papers, at least where you can take your time on writing things. Now, my reason for having these reflection papers, as I talk about in the instructions, is that, this isn't a writing intensive class. It's just that I think that if you're doing history, which is what we're doing in this class, that it makes sense that you talk about things, that you put things in context, that you do some sort of analysis or connect the dots in some way. Now, you're not going to be doing it originally, right? You're going to be reading how others have connected the dots, or maybe you'll be making your own connection of the dots and trying some things out. That's what these reflection papers are for. Now, dates are important, people are important, but when you're focusing on these reflection papers, the focus there is on your own reflections, your own analysis. Now, I try to make this a little bit easier. When we have a chapter that comes up that has a reflection paper, as you'll see, let's just click on one here. What you'll see that I do is that I give you a little bit of context, I give you a page number, I give you a quote, and then I ask a series of questions. You can follow that, precisely and just keep to that. You can ask your own new questions. You can, not answer this and ask something different. All of those kinds of things are fine. I just need to see that kind of engagement that you would expect of someone reflecting on things. And so that's kind of what I describe here. In terms of expectations, this is always the hardest part because you can't read my mind. This isn't a writing class, so I'm not looking for perfect grammar. You can be working on sentences and how to structure them properly. The minimum things I'm wanting is that there shouldn't be too many misspelled words, just because, to fix the spelling on a word is pretty darn easy, right? If you're using either Google Docs or Word or anything like that. And the other thing is that you need to have references. And by that, I mean, I don't care what format it's in. What I care is that you give me enough detail that I could look things up if I wanted. And then the final thing I say here is appropriate sentence paragraph structure. I'm not looking for perfect, I'm just saying appropriate. So just don't give me one really big long paragraph. That some of you have done. Not you in this class, but others have done. Just don't turn something in with no references, because then it's presuming that it's coming just from you. So if you have to cite the textbook, cite the textbook. If you're citing my lecture, cite my lecture. You don't have to give me like time, date kind of thing. You just say chapter 2 lecture citing, right? And then the other thing would be is that you cite some outside sources. Now, let's talk about how you do that. I know that some of you in this class could just put into Google search colonial economic development, right? And you'd be like, okay, I think I'm going to cite this, and I'm going to cite this, and I'm going to do this. Dude, you can do this a much better way, in an easier way. The easiest way I would suggest that you do it is that you're paying big money to take this class. Use the library website, which is actually pretty darn good. Okay, so right, I'm just typing in a search term here. And now I'm getting, right, I have to sort through this, but I'm actually getting some really good references. And then if you don't find anything you really like as you kind of like fine tune that even more, what I would suggest is you go to scholar.google.com. And what this does is it only searches, Google's then only searching like academic websites and whatnot. And if I do the same term here, I'm going to Africa. Right, I'm getting book references, I'm getting, journal articles, I'm getting the things that might help you understand what's going on better. And right, I can hit cite here, and look, I can just copy and paste that citation. I can go here. Now, JSTOR, for instance, a lot of things are going to be on JSTOR. With the University of Hawaii, we do have a subscription to that. Make use of it. So, I know one of the easier things that many of you are going to be concerned about is how long does it have to be, how many pages, how many word count. I don't really want to tell you precisely, because if you're a deficient writer, you could get this done in a page. If you're not as good of a writer, it might take you 3 pages or more. Just answer either the question I ask appropriately or the question that you ask appropriately. And then what I did to kind of help you is I looked at a paper that was submitted last summer. And this was a person who did get 100%. It is the first one. So, keep in mind you could read this and it could help you a lot do the first reflection paper. But I already know that I gave you this, so if you adhere pretty closely to this, you're not setting a good example of the kind of work you could be doing. But this gives you a really good example of a person who, did a pretty good job of writing this. In 2 pages, answered the question appropriately, provided the necessary references, and structured it properly. Met all of my criteria of a paper that was worth 100 points out of 100. Okay, I hope that kind of helps you understand how to do these reflection papers. I'm always happy to read drafts before it's officially submitted, and I can give you comments if you're going in the right direction or not.